Today we're going to take a closer look at this amazing Action Man ROM the Space Knight by Palitoy. Now, I was very fortunate to get ROM the Space Knight as a birthday present earlier this year. You may have seen it in the background in some of my previous videos, but I really thought it's about time I brought this guy to the front and created a video specifically for him. As you can see, ROM the Space Knight is actually part of the Action Man Space Ranger line. So if you're not familiar with the Space Rangers, I have an example Action Man here. Let's go and bring him in. Here he is. This is actually the Space Ranger Talking Commander. He's got his helmet there, gloves and his boots. I think you saw this in my $6 Million Man video. These gloves and boots are actually from the $6 Million line. They borrowed them. Anyway, here's a Space Ranger. He's a talking commander, so let's just see what he says.
Prepare to repel invaders.
Prepare to repel invaders.
Space station now visible.
I think that was space station now visible.
We're under attack.
We're under attack. Uh-oh. Well, if we're under attack, there's only one person who can help us, and that is, of course, ROM the Space Knight. So let's just take a quick look at the front here. We can see a photo of the figure on the box. Normally you would have artwork on these boxes, but there's a photo. But what we can see, of course, is the glorious Palitoy logo. So Palitoy released this in 1980. Quite a long time ago now, but this wasn't the first time we saw ROM the Space Knight. It was actually produced or released by the Parker brothers back in 1978, and Palitoy decided that they would license this toy and add it to the Space Ranger line in 1980. Let's take a quick look at the back of the box. The age of ROM is here. Now, ROM actually stands for read-only memory. Originally, I think the Parker brothers or whoever designed this were going to call this toy COBOL, and COBOL is actually a name of a programming language. I think what they wanted to do back in the late 70s was just get across the idea that this was some futuristic toy, so they chose a lot of computer-oriented names. But let's have a quick look here. We can see that ROM is a 13-inch electronic figure. So yeah, this is one big figure, and we'll see that in a minute. In fact, the box itself is also enormous. It's much larger than your usual Action Man figure box. And we just have another photo of ROM here, but we can see some of the features that are highlighted. So I'll go through these features in a minute with the actual figure. And let's see what else is on here. You get 10 stars with this figure, so that goes a long way towards your next Action Man gift. And the box itself has a flap here which opens up, and we can see the features again on the inside of the flap. It says ROM's advanced electronic features and accessories create striking effects in sound and light. They certainly do. We're going to see that in a minute. And there's the window that you would actually see ROM sitting behind. So yeah, this is a really nice box. There's a little bit of tidy up that I need to do on this, but otherwise it's in really nice condition. With the figure, inside the box, you also got this leaflet. On one side, it tells you how to program the ROM, which we'll go into in a minute. And again, we can see the lovely Palitoy logo, a division of General Mills, Colville, Leicester, England. But on the back, what's really neat is you get this mini comic which introduces ROM into the Space Rangers world. So let's just have a read of this comic. Whilst patrolling a distant planet, ROM encounters trouble. Conflict. I shall descend with the aid of my rocket pack. It is time for ROM to intervene with his energy analyzer. Your fire does me no harm. I shall now find who fights for good or for evil. Breathing the atmosphere, ROM summons his translator to listen in on the two languages alien to him. They are mortal enemies, but which are the evil ones? ROM points the analyzer menacingly at one group of fighters. One gong, these beings represent good. Then he confronts the other group. Two gongs, these beings are evil. Now, at this point, I realized that those evil aliens are in fact the Intruder, and I just happen to have one here. So here is the Intruder. Perhaps one of the most disliked figures in the whole of the Action Man range. But I had no idea that he appeared in this mini-comic for ROM. So there, yes, there's the Intruder in this comic. The forces of evil open fire as ROM summons his neutralizer. The wrath of ROM is all-powerful. Your days of evil are over. ROM finds that he is not alone in this fight against evil. We are Space Rangers and were ambushed by the Intruders. Such evil finds just ends. We shall meet again, and you will know me as ROM. So there you go. That's the comic that you got inside the box. And that's a very nice way of introducing ROM into this world. Alright, so we have the instructions for the ROM. Here is the ROM figure itself. So let's use the instructions to see what amazing features we have. So on the back we have the rocket pack, under which you put the battery. As you can see, it's rather old school, a square 9-volt battery. So let's put the lid back on. I think I need to be careful here because the plastic is probably quite brittle. And now that the battery is in, we can switch him on. So on the back, we have the switch here. So I'm just going to flick that on and see what happens. So we can see he's got two LEDs for his eyes. He's got flashing lights there on the front of him. And let's program. So the way you program is you have these two tabs on the back here. The left one is the program button and the right one is the activate button. So it looks like the first function we've got is the rocket pack. So we're going to press down the program once. And then it says to hold down the activate button to engage the rockets. And there we go. That is the sound of a typical 70s toy. That's not going to annoy any parents in the slightest. Oh dear, that's funny. Okay, let's try the respirator. So apparently we press the program button twice. And that is supposed to be a breathing sound, but there you go, that's 70s technology for you. I'm not actually sure how you switch this sound off. I think I'm just going to switch them off at the back. Now, as well as the figure, you also got these accessories. So the first one here is what's called the translator, which is held by both his hands. And what you do is you take this cable here, you stick the cable into the body, and then you place the other end, which is a light bulb, 70s technology for the win. Where does that go? That goes in the back there of the translator. Okay, so now we're ready to activate the translator. So we go back to our instructions, and for the translator we press down, oh, let's turn it on again. We press down the program button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then we hold down the activate button. And there we go. This toy would really annoy the parents, there's no doubt about that. But there you go, there's the translator that we saw in the comic just now. Flashing away with a wonderful sound effect. Okay, the next accessory is the neutralizer. And again, very simple. You just plug the light bulb into the back of the accessory. And let's program him and see what happens. So I'm just going to reset. So for the neutralizer, we're going to hold down 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, oh, We get a strange sound effect, and then I'm going to press down the activate button. And there we go. So the neutralizer, if I understand correctly, basically banishes the evil enemies through some kind of portal, and the result or side effect of that is there's a load of ash that remains. So I wouldn't want to be hit by this, that's for sure. And again, wonderful sound effects from this 70s toy. And the final accessory is the energy analyzer. And if you remember back to the comic, this thing determined whether something was good or evil. Now I think the way it worked was that if you had one gong, that would denote good, and if you had two gongs, that would denote evil. So let's program this and see how it works. So I think the way it works is that you switch it back on again and you press the program button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to press the activate button and we're going to see whether, well, I'm going to point it at me first and I'm going to see whether I'm good or evil. Okay, let's find out. Pressing the activate button. Oh, one gong. Amazing. So I am good, apparently. Okay, let's press it again. I'm going to point it at the camera. So let's see if you're good or evil. Oh, apparently you're good as well. I'm just going to try that again just to make sure, because I don't know if I trust this thing. Ah, well, someone out there is at least evil. Well, that's the way it works. That's pretty neat. I like that one. There's your energy analyzer. The figure itself actually is quite plain, really. It's just this sort of blue-grey plastic. There aren't even any stickers that you apply. And the articulation is quite poor as well. Some articulation at the shoulders there and also at the leg joints. But that is pretty much it. I think the beauty of this toy is really the electronics. You know, for 1978, when this was originally launched, it is pretty advanced. Despite all the lights and sounds and advanced electronics that this toy had, it didn't really succeed all that much back in the day. I think Parker Brothers only had this on the shelves for a year. It wasn't that much longer in the Palitoy range, probably a few years. But it did live on in Marvel Comics, and today this figure or this character probably has quite a following. Now personally, I love this toy. I think it's to do with the ability of being able to program it with the switches on the back. I love all that stuff. By trade, I'm a computer programmer myself, so I have a real affinity with this toy. And I think this is a real worthy addition to the Space Ranger team. Thank you for making it this far through the video. I hope you enjoyed it. What do you think, Rom? Oh, I guess Rom didn't think too much of it. Well, like or dislike, please leave a comment. I always respond to any comments that are left. And if you enjoy the channel, then please subscribe. So all I have left to say now is stay safe and cheers. You really didn't like that? I thought it went pretty well. Oh well, we'll soon find out.